All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I'm here with Amber Farooqui. Amber, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for taking some time to talk today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Of course. So, Amber is a business coach, a best-selling author, speaker, entrepreneur. Kind of sounds like she does a little bit of a lot of different things, but that's kind of just like a basic um, kind of preview of Amber. But do you mind kind of talking a little bit about what you're doing these days, who you are, what your background looks like?
Yeah, so you pretty much nailed it. I do business coaching and consulting, so I own my own business doing that. I also wrote a book last year and that hit bestseller, so that was fun. And then I also do speaking on the side, and then on top of all of that, I'm a full-time student as well. So actually tomorrow I start my senior year of university, and then I'll be done. So yeah, kind of doing everything at once.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Yeah, how have you managed to juggle everything?
Yeah, I guess I'm really good at time management. I used to be really,
Okay.
really bad at it. I used to overbook myself all the time and it would become
Yeah.
very overwhelming, but I definitely learned and now I can kind of, take on a lot of things at once, thankfully.
That's great. Yeah, and I mean, for me, I'm in my final year of my master's program, so
Oh, wow.
full-time student, and then also trying to do this podcast and do everything else that I like. So I totally get the overbooking yourself part, but I'm glad you've been able to
Definitely.
find a balance.
Yeah, and that's amazing that you're doing your master's program.
Thank you so much. So for you, Amber, like what you're going to school for, does that kind of like align with like the coaching and kind of like the entrepreneurship, or is it kind of a separate side of your life, if you will?
Yeah, so I think I kind of made it part of what I'm before it was separate just because I never really wanted to go to school. I've never been a type of person who's been interested in school. I actually begged my parents to homeschool for 2 years in high school, so that's how much I
Oh,
hated
wow.
school. And
Okay.
then now that I'm in college, I started off being undecided. I actually went in wanting to be a lawyer and going through that, but then I realized to be a lawyer, I needed to go to law school as well. So I didn't want to do 8 years of school.
Right.
Just wanted to get out as fast as possible. So I ended up, networking with a lot of people through my university, a lot of good connections, and I'm majoring in marketing, which relates to my business. I can definitely take what I
Yeah.
learn in school and apply it. And then I have a concentration in sales leadership, which the sales leadership program at my school is very competitive, but it's really, really good. And I've learned a lot from there, more than like my marketing major. I think my sales program is what really, really has helped me. So, yeah, it kind of is in line with what I'm doing today. But in the beginning, it was
Okay.
not.
Gotcha. So, like, when you first started doing the coaching and writing your book and then, publishing and then selling it and everything, where did all that kind of like knowledge and kind of like skills come from? Like, is that stuff that you've always just have kind of got naturally, or did you like do a lot of research on your own? Because it sounds like school didn't exactly like line up with that right away at the start, at least.
Yeah, so I think everything started. Before I even became a business coach, actually, I was doing fitness coaching. And I did
Okay.
that for about like 3 years, I would say. I started that at a very young age, like 16, 17. And it was just all through social media. And then I realized over time when I started, college that I didn't really want to be in the fitness industry forever. I kind of really enjoyed the business side of things. I liked social media. I liked sales. I loved marketing, all that type of stuff. But the fitness side kind of just got started to get boring to me. And I felt like it was a passion of mine. Fitness has always been a passion of mine. But I think it turned more into work than a passion because I turned it into
Uh,
a business. And I didn't want that to happen to me because I feel like fitness got me through a lot throughout my life. So I think that's when I kind of transitioned into business coaching because I realized I was really good at the business side of things. So I
mhm.
transitioned into that. And then during my transition, I figured out like a really good way to kind of do that transition would be to writing a book. So I ended up writing my book. It's called Finding Your Fit, which is actually about the 5 dimensions of wellness. And the reason I wrote that was because I feel like growing up, I thought that being fit was all about the physical aspect of one, but then I realized over time it's all about the five dimensions of wellness, which is physical, of course, but then mental, emotional, spiritual, and social as well. So just throughout my experience and time, that's kind of where I, got the idea and ability to write the
Mhm.
book. Of course, it did take a lot of research to figure out how to write the book and how to publish it
Right.
and all of that. But I think the idea I had for so long, that it just came to me. It was pretty easy. And then it was just a good transitioning thing that I could have done because now in my business, I set myself up as an authoritative figure by having a book, because there's millions of
Yeah.
other business coaches out there. And I feel like being so young, it can be kind of hard to do something like business coaching or being an entrepreneur because they look at your age and they think that you don't have enough
Hmm.
experience. So I felt like writing a book would kind of help me in a way, and it definitely has. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations on being a bestseller with the book.
Thank you.
That's really awesome. That's a huge accomplishment. I've actually written a few books, but
Oh.
like nothing has come out of it or anything, which a lot of it, I haven't really marketed it or anything like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I definitely know like how hard it is to go through that process, and then to be a bestseller is huge. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Um,
You'll have to tell me more about
yeah.
your book sometime.
Definitely, I would love to. Um, but yeah, it's really cool to kind of hear that that was your journey, and that was kind of one of the questions that I was going to ask you, Amber, is about like, have you had those clients or potential clients that are like, well, like why would I listen to this girl? Like she's like 10 years younger than me. What the heck,
Hmm.
So I think that that was a good point that you said that you kind of became that authority figure by having a best-selling book and like proving like you may be young and maybe you don't have as much like quote unquote like experience as
Hmm.
some other people, but that doesn't take anything away from you or the knowledge that you have. Has that been like a big obstacle for you, or is that just kind of something that like it's here and there?
Yeah, so that definitely was a big obstacle for me for quite a while. And then I think I
Okay.
realized how to turn it, instead of becoming an objection, I turned that into a reason why people should work with me. So
Okay.
instead of making a negative, I made it a positive, saying, like, yeah, I know I am younger, but because I am younger, I grew up in, the social media age. And with that, I know how to work social media and know how to market on social media better than you probably can because, I grew up in this age and I've been doing it for so long. So kind
Hmm.
of like using that in a way really did help my business. I feel like it took me a while to get there and I felt nervous. And in the
Yeah.
beginning, I obviously was like, yeah, I am younger. Maybe I am not the right fit for you, blah, 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 whatever. That was just me not feeling like I was good enough to, be their coach or coach them through that. But I think it
Hmm.
kind of just came from confident in my abilities and all of that.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear, and I think that it can be intimidating at first, but it sounds like as you've been continuing on, you've become more confident, and like you said, just kind of turning those negatives to a positive. And I think that just in life in general,
Yeah.
we sometimes fixate on the negatives, or people want to talk about the negatives or what we don't have, but it just kind of like changing that perspective and thinking about the positives. I think it's so important.
Exactly. Definitely.
Definitely. So, like you mentioned, Amber, you've done fitness coaching and now it's turned into business coaching. So it sounds like you just kind of have a passion towards coaching. So like what about
Mhm.
coaching is it that is, exciting to you or passion or drives that passion?
Yeah, I think that definitely seeing the transition is one of the most rewarding things. As far as like fitness coaching, seeing someone who's, not insecure in their body and they don't feel good, and then them going
Hmm.
into feeling confident and feeling great about themselves. That was amazing and just so fun for me to see. And I really enjoyed that. I love making people just feel good about themselves, feel good about what they're doing, and all of that. So it kind of goes into the business side of things as well, making people feel like their business ideas and whatever they want to do is possible if they do it the right way and if they have some guidance and help with it. And then seeing them from, not having a business to running their own business and quitting their 9 to 5s and doing all of that is
Hmm.
just really nice seeing, transformations. I think that's the most exciting thing. And I feel like that's what's kept me in the coaching realm for a while.
Definitely. I love that. And, I'm sure that you probably get people that maybe, months or a year later, they're like, Amber, like, guess what? Look at what I'm doing now, or, I hit this goal of mine. And, it's just so cool to, I'm
Mhm.
sure, hear about these success stories, even maybe after you stop working with them or, whatever the case may be. So that's definitely,
Right.
sounds like such a rewarding thing.
Exactly. It definitely is.
Awesome. So, is there any other books kind of, in the back of your mind, or do you think you're gonna kind of dive into authorship more in the future, or was it just kind of like this one book you think you're probably set?
At first, I thought that, well, this is a question I get all the time. And
Okay.
I feel like at first I did say that no, I just only wanted to write one book and that was kind of it because I didn't really think I had anything else to write about. I felt like
Yeah.
literally I poured everything into there and I felt like that was the most that I could offer and help people with. So that's what I put into it. But now, as the time has gone on, it's only been a year since then, but I feel like I do want to write another book, but I think it would probably be about something completely different. I think it would be more so about like faith and your
Okay.
relationship with God and all of that. I think over time I've been starting to grow my faith and my relationship with God and just becoming more religious and all of that. So I think maybe that, but those types of books are a little bit more difficult to write because I don't want to
Yeah.
steer it towards one religion. Like me myself, I'm
Hmm.
Muslim and I'm a practicing Muslim and I'll do that, but I don't think that I would want my book to be about being a Muslim or being part of Islam. I would want it to be geared
Right.
towards or all religions and just faith in general and having, faith in God and all of that. So
Okay.
that's an idea I've had, but I'm not sure when or how I would write any of that. I don't think right now, probably in the next like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really cool, and I think that would be a great kind of, read for anyone. And I love how, you want it to, probably be a little specific towards you and your experiences, but also kind of be broad where it's like you said, it's not just one religion or,
Hmm.
anyone can really benefit from reading it. So I think that's really cool.
Right. Definitely. Yeah.
S- Yeah. So you kind of just mentioned there with like diving into your own personal faith and, how that's kind of been something that you've focused on lately. Is that something that has really kind of helped you kind of get to the places that you are? And is that kind of like a guiding factor in your life right now? Or is it something that you're still kind of going along in the journey with?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that I've been on a journey with for a while now. Growing up, I was, my family was pretty religious and I
Okay.
always followed, the rules and what I was supposed to do. But back then it was kind of like I just had to do it because I had to do it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, my parents would yell at me. But I think as I got older, I realized that I actually feel lost without, praying, without talking to God, without having faith, without any of that type of stuff. I did feel lost. So I think that over time
Yeah.
and growing up, I did realize that I just do want to be, close to God at all times. And I feel like everything's possible when you do believe in something higher than you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm pretty, yeah, I would say, yeah, it's definitely, I'm still on that journey, but I think that that's a journey you're on for your entire life if you are someone who's, religious.
Yeah. No, I love hearing that. And I think that I feel like that's kind of, the gist for a lot of, maybe younger individuals, people around our age. That's kind of like maybe you grew up kind of with like that religious background because that's like just what you did. That's like what your family did. You'd
Right.
go kind of through the motions. And then as we kind of get older and develop our own, you know, as our own people, that's kind of when we figure out like, do we want to continue on with this, faith journey, or do we want to maybe go away from it? But if we do dive into it, kind of like how we can make it our own. And I love that you said it's a continuous journey because I totally agree. Like it's something that, you're always like learning and growing with it. And I think that's kind of a cool part about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree.
Awesome. So, I'm sure this is something that you've probably been asked quite a bit, especially, going into your final year of school. But you know, what what do you think maybe the next like 3 to 5 years look like for you? Like, do you have kind of goals or plans for that time frame, or are you just kind of like, let's just take it a day at a time and see what happens?
Yeah, I think that I'm a planner. I like to plan everything out,
Okay.
but nothing ever really goes the way that I plan it. I feel like I can schedule out my entire day, my entire year, my entire life, but like it just doesn't go as planned.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of gave up on the whole planning sort of thing. But I think definitely just to have like I do have a vision of where I want to be, and I definitely, of course, I want to be graduated, which will be
Hmm.
next year, and then from there, I want to continue being full time in my business. I feel like I've never really been a full time entrepreneur because I've always been in school. For the
Right.
past 4 years, I've been in university, so I really haven't been able to be a full time entrepreneur. I mean, summers here and there, but that doesn't really count. So I
Right.
think that I'm excited for that to see where that goes. I'll definitely want to get more into like motivational speaking. That's just something I've been passionate about. I do want to start growing this community that I've been kind of building related to kind of faith and religion, actually, that I'm working on currently. It's still very, very new. I think I've only talked about it on my social media like 3 times, probably, maybe 3, 4 times. So that's something that I do want to grow. And then that's like a passion type of thing, though. That's not exactly
Okay.
like a business that I want to grow. I mean, maybe in the future it'll become profitable, but that would all be for like donations or to like build a mosque or churches and things like that, not necessarily for profit or like business.
Okay.
But yeah, just continuing my entrepreneurship journey and all of that.
Awesome. I love that. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, like you said, with being a full-time student, it's tough to have that kind of ability to go all in on the entrepreneurship and kind of be like full-time in it. So I think it's super exciting that you'll have that opportunity next year and just to really dive in and put all your energy in because it's kind of like it's crazy just talking right now. I'm like, you've accomplished so much not being full-time. Just like imagine what's gonna happen when you are able to be full-time in it.
Right. It's scary, but it's also pretty exciting. It's just
It
like,
is.
yeah, there's doubts, of course, here and there, but I think that's completely
Hmm.
normal. And I feel like I doubted myself a lot even through school. And I feel like if I was able to do it throughout school, I think that it'll just, become even better once I'm not in school, when I can put in like 110% actually into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Awesome. And so something you just said that just kind of like resonated with me is like having those doubts. And I think that, if someone listening is wanting to go into entrepreneurship, there's sure a lot of doubts involving that. But even I think, maybe people that are going to school to be a doctor, and they're in med school or whatever, like there's still going to be doubts, even though like they have their career path like mapped out. Amber, like throughout your experiences in your life, like in those moments of doubt, has there been anything that's really helped you kind of persevere or keep going, even if like you are kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how this is going to work out?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a few things. One would definitely be just having faith. I think that that's one thing
Yeah.
that I'm always just pretty passionate about, and I think that it definitely helps. So having faith, believing in yourself, believing that if you pray for it, you'll get it if it's meant for you.
Hmm.
The second thing would be having just a supportive community around you. So speaking with people like friends or family, whoever you feel comfortable with about those doubts and your goals and everything, because maybe they can kind of help you get through it. That's also been something that's definitely helped me in my past and even today. Those are probably the two main things that I would say. And then knowing that it's normal to have doubts, and knowing that like feeling the whole imposter syndrome type of
Hmm.
thing and doubts with that's completely normal. And I feel like I made a post recently actually about the whole imposter syndrome thing, and how like if you don't feel like an imposter, then you're not growing, because like you should feel like, oh my god, this is
Hmm.
completely outside of my comfort zone. And when you get outside of your comfort zone, you're doing something that like you're leveling up in a way in your life. So I think that seeing it as a good thing, and yeah, kind of going from it that way with that
I love
perspective.
that.
Yeah, perspective is key with
It
everything.
is. It is. And it's funny because I did my undergrad in psychology, so I'm
Oh
pretty
wow.
familiar with like, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with like the imposter syndrome and stuff. And of course I've experienced it personally, but I don't think I've ever heard really anyone say like to kind of view it as a good thing, like you said, kind of that you're like leveling up and that's when we're growing. And I think that's a really, really good way to look at it and something that I'm gonna challenge myself now with. Like when I do feel that way, it's like because I am trying to better myself or advancing forward,
Mhm.
like you're going to be uncomfortable. If you're not, like you're just going to kind of stay in that place of comfort and you don't really grow there.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's amazing that you studied psychology also. I feel like that's
Thank
something
you.
I've always been very interested in. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting field, and it sounds like even kind of even though that's not like your area of study, that you're pretty knowledgeable on it. And even like with your book, it sounds like that kind of
Mhm.
psychology of people as well.
Yeah, I love reading about like the psychology of people. I mean, it wasn't my
Yeah.
major or anything I really did. I think I took like two classes on psychology in
Okay.
um college, but I also did a bunch of courses just for fun because it always just seems so interesting to me. And I feel like when you know how to read people and when you know um like that type of stuff, it kind of helps with the business side of things as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that because yeah, my undergrad was psychology and now I'm going to school for human resources, kind of business. I've always kind of wanted to do psychology because of the people, but then wanted to loop it into business. So it's funny
Hmm.
how you mentioned that because yeah, like once you kind of have a better understanding for people and how we, think and why we do what we do, it kind of makes like the business kind of like it fills in some pieces here and there and like you're like, oh, that's why this
Definitely.
works or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So I say that you're kind of like pseudo like psych major too.
Probably, I would say that too.
There you go. Awesome. So Amber, we kind of talked about your coaching and entrepreneurship, faith and everything. Are there any other big passions that you have? Or I'm sure you probably don't have too much free time with everything you have going on, but anything that like you really enjoy doing or that kind of keeps you passionate?
I think that working out, I kind of mentioned that in the beginning as
Yeah.
well a little bit. That's always been probably one of my biggest passions.
Okay.
It's also like a form of therapy for me too. So I think that that
Yeah.
would be the number one passion I have. The rest would be just helping people, which kind of goes into coaching. And
Yeah.
then, um, yeah, I think those are passions. Let's see what else. Also, I love trying new food.
Okay.
I think that would be, I don't know if that's really a passion, but it's something I enjoy to do,
I
I
count it.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That. And then, yeah, those are probably big ones. Of course, hanging out with my friends and family and my loved ones.
Yeah.
That's always something that's important to me. And then, yeah, those are probably the main ones
Okay. So now I have to know, have you recently tried any like interesting or unique foods that you really loved?
that I really loved. Let's
Yeah.
see. I did try like snail recently, or not recently, it was a couple months back for the first
Okay.
time. I didn't love it. It was kind of weird,
Okay.
but it was something weird, I guess. I didn't love it. I'm trying to think of something
Okay.
else that I've had. I can't think of anything, but that's probably the weirdest thing I've had so like right now recently.
Okay. What about like a favorite food?
Favorite food? Oh my god, I love all
Yeah.
food. That's probably the hardest question ever. I love, I guess, type of food if you want to say, probably Mexican food I really enjoy.
There we go. That's the right answer.
Yeah, Mexican food. Yeah, that's my favorite. Also Middle Eastern food is good too, but
Okay.
depends.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Like as we're talking, like I'm like, there's so many things that like after this is done, like I'm like, I need to talk to you about like all this food stuff and like we'll talk about books and oh
Seriously.
man,
Yes, we
it's
will.
awesome. Yeah, that's kind of been like so I've always liked cooking, but kind of over the past year with just kind of being in more and with everything going on in the world, I kind of like got into baking. So now
Really?
I'm like baking all the time and now I'm like, oh my God, there's so many good foods and recipes that you can make and
Yeah, I feel
internet
like
has so many recipes. Yeah.
definitely. I feel like I am good at cooking, but I think baking, I just feel like that's just something else. That's just so hard and difficult, and I feel like only certain people are skilled in it. Um, it's just difficult, but I wish I knew how to bake, and I wish I could because I would be baking every single day if I knew how because I love like the eating part of the baking, just not the baking
Yeah.
part.
Okay. Well, I feel like if anyone could crack the code to baking, I think you have a good track record with success. So I think you could
Let's
do
not
it.
ruin it. Let's not ruin it. We're baking.
Or hey, I mean, the other solution is, I bake all the time, but I don't have anyone to eat it. So I just end up eating all of it. So
Oh,
I'll
perfect.
just mail you, a box of cookies and pastries sometime.
There you go. I'm down for that.
There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So, Amber, to anyone that's listening who might want to take that leap into entrepreneurship or starting their own business or career or something like that or maybe even get out of what they are doing if it's like a 9 to 5 to pursue something they're passionate about, do you have any advice for someone in that situation?
Yeah, I feel like don't overthink it because I think
Yeah.
overthinking it just kills your dreams and hopes and everything like that. I feel like I used
Yeah.
to overthink all the time about everything and I never got anything that done that way. For example, with my book, I procrastinated for a year and then when I ended up starting to write my book, I ended up writing it in 2 weeks. So you're definitely
Wow.
capable of doing things if you just set your mind to it. So just do it. That would probably be my number one advice. And then maybe make a plan around it. I know I said like plans don't always go as you plan, but I think having something to kind of guide you is always just important. And if things
Yeah.
change, just go with the flow. Things change all the time. It doesn't have to go, exactly as planned, but having something sorted out will help your, mind in kind of the direction that you should try to take.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think kind of like having like that plan that gives you guidance and structure, but you're not so like in love with it where it's like super
Mm-hmm.
rigid where you're like, oh my God, I missed this by a week. Like it's all ruined, like having that flexibility. And then I
Exactly.
love that you said like not overthinking it because I think that so many of us we overthink to the max and that's like what prevents us. Or it's like, I want to start like a YouTube channel, but I don't have, a camera to use. But then it's like, well, we all have like smartphones and the cameras
Mm-hmm.
on phones these days are
Exactly.
like insane. So it's like you can always start there and then just like your kind of realm of social media. Like I know that a lot of people that kind of want to post on social media, like we have that fear of like, oh my God, I don't know if this picture looks good enough. Like, I don't know if the edit's good enough or the lighting or whatever. And it's like, we just
Right.
want to be perfect, which I think is like, it's good to like try to be perfect, but it's like, don't overthink it. Just like, put out that post and
Mm-hmm.
write a good caption and just, I'm sure it'll reach someone and someone will be impacted by it. So just don't overthink it. Just go for
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. That would be my number one advice.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And so your book, you said it's Finding Your Fit
Yeah, it's called
is the
Finding
title?
Your Fit, a
Finding
guide
Your
to
Fit.
living your best life.
A Guide to Living Your Best Life. Okay. And is that kind of available on like
Yeah, so
any place that
that's
you could buy a book?
no, it's available on Amazon.
Okay.
So yeah, and then if you want a signed copy, you can just reach out to me through like Instagram, which is just my name, and then I could mail you like a signed copy and we can talk and figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So check out Amazon or reach out to Amber if you want to get a copy of her book. And then for coaching as well, best way
Yeah.
to get in touch with you is just your social media.
Probably social media. My email's on there as well. All my links and everything's on there. So
Okay.
you can just contact me through there and then let me know if you're interested or just want to have a chat. And then, yeah. And then I have a Calendly link as well. So if you want to set up a call, that's another way to get in contact with me faster.
Perfect. And I think I saw on your Instagram, like you have like a link tree with like everything in your bio, right?
Right, exactly. So my book's on
Okay.
there, links to my Calendly, everything's on there. Yep, exactly.
Okay, perfect. And then Instagram, it's just like Amber said, her name, Amber Farooqui.
Hmm.
Um, I'll put that in the description though. So if anyone is listening and wants to just click down there, Amber's information will be there. So definitely you can reach out to her that way.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, like clients or anyone that's listening that might be interested in working with you, Amber, is there any like specific client that you're kind of they're really, if anyone's interested, you'd love to chat and see how you can help them. Is that kind of the
Yeah, so I mean,
formula?
I'm always open to everyone and kind of seeing what they're interested in, what their goals are, and seeing if I can help spark something in them that they don't really know that they want to do. But then after having a conversation, they realize that they do want to do. But I think I'm more so geared toward like entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs as well, small business
Okay.
owners, people who are service providers like coaches, consultants, and things like that, content creators, all of that.
Okay. Perfect. So if you're listening and you fall in any of those categories, I can definitely say Amber is your girl. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. So definitely reach out to Amber. And if anything that we've talked about today or Amber's talked about really resonated with you listening, even, just I'm sure if you reach out to Amber and say like, hey, I love what you're doing, or, I have this question or something, I'm sure she'd be happy to connect and chat with you. But Amber, it's been really great talking to you today. Is there any last like words or thoughts that you have that you want to leave to anyone listening?
I think we hit everything. Everything you asked me was really good. I liked our conversation we
Yeah.
had. And I think we gave some good advice. And yeah, I think I'm good.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Amber, thank you again for taking the time to talk. I have no doubt that you're going to continue to do amazing things. Best of luck with your final year of school. I'm excited for potentially book number 2 sometime in the future. And maybe when that time comes, we'll have to have you back and do a follow-up episode on the podcast. But you know,
Definitely.
yeah, but it sounds like you've done some really amazing things, and it's really cool to hear from you and just kind of hear a little bit about your journey. And I wish you nothing but the best with everything that you do in the future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate that as well. And then we'll definitely talk outside of this as well. So thank you.
Yeah, of course, looking forward to it. And again, to anyone listening, Amber Farooqui on Instagram. I'll put that in the description with all the spelling and everything. So go check her out. Go support Amber. She's an awesome person doing really great things. And if you need a coach, she's the one.
Thank you. Thank you so
Of
much.
course. I'll talk to you later, Amber.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye.